I've been debating whether or not to post this for a long time. Mostly because if I had read something like this a year ago, I would have rolled my eyes and kept scrolling. I don't expect anyone to believe me. Hell, I don't believe me most days. But something happened to me. Something real. And if anyone out there is dabbling in manifestation, scripting, or whatever TikTok has you doing under the full moon with crystals and high vibrations, you should hear this first. Because manifestation works, but it doesn't come for free. Nothing does. Let me rewind to the start. Last summer, I hit rock bottom. Like proper rock bottom. The kind you don't think you'll survive. I, 27F, had just been laid off from my job at a tech startup that folded overnight. They blamed market conditions, but really it was the CEO gambling away investor funds. I'd moved cross-country for the role and signed a lease on an apartment I could no longer afford. My savings? Gone. My car? Repossessed. I had exactly $147.26 in my bank account and $3,200 in rent due the next week. My boyfriend at the time, Nate, bailed the moment things got hard. He said, "This energy is too heavy," whatever the hell that means. He ghosted me completely. Just vanished. Unfollowed me on everything. It was like he'd died or been erased from the planet, and the world just kept spinning. I was alone in a city where I knew no one. My family, if you can call them that, had written me off years ago. I used to joke that I was the family scapegoat. But it wasn't really a joke. My mother and I hadn't spoken in 3 years. My father remarried and pretended I didn't exist. And my older brother only texted me when he needed money. So yeah, I was completely alone. And I was angry. At everyone. At the world. At myself. I remember lying in bed one night staring at the cracked ceiling, thinking, I did everything right. I played by the rules. Why the hell is my life falling apart? That night, I couldn't sleep. I went down an internet rabbit hole. You know the kind. 1 minute you're Googling free resume templates, and the next you're 6 videos deep into manifestation TikTok where girls in crop tops are whispering about the 3-6-9 method and scripting under moonlight with rose quartz on their forehead. I was skeptical, but also desperate. Something inside me snapped. I grabbed my notebook and a pen. I lit the one candle I had left from a self-care kit I bought months ago. I turned off the lights, and I wrote, I am living the life I deserve. I am successful, wealthy, safe, adored. Everything that is mine finds me now. Over and over and over. I didn't stop until my hand hurt, and for the first time in weeks, I slept like a dead woman. The next day, nothing happened. But something felt different. I can't explain it. It was like the air felt denser, heavier, like the atmosphere had shifted a few degrees to the left. I kept scripting, every morning and every night. I'd write the same thing, adding more details as I went. I started saying it out loud in the mirror. I am living the life I deserve. I started adding rituals, leaving water by the window, whispering affirmations before bed. I even tried the whisper method. Imagine telling the universe your desires like a secret. It all felt insane. But again, I had nothing to lose. The first sign came 5 days in. A check arrived in the mail. Now before you roll your eyes, yes, it was legit. An overpaid insurance premium refund from a policy I'd canceled months ago. I'd completely forgotten about it. The check? $3,207, just enough to cover rent. I stared at it for a full hour, wondering if it was a prank. It wasn't. Then, on day 9, I got a call from a recruiter. She said she'd found my resume online. I hadn't posted it in weeks, and had a client looking for someone with my exact background. Remote position, great pay, benefits, a 3-month contract that could turn into something long-term. I didn't even have to interview. They just wanted someone ASAP. I started the next Monday. I remember sitting at my tiny IKEA desk, still in my pajamas, looking at the contract on my screen and thinking, what the hell is happening? But it didn't stop there. A week later, I got an email from an old friend I hadn't spoken to in years. She said she was randomly thinking of me and wanted to reconnect. She invited me to stay with her in upstate New York if I ever needed to get away for a while. We used to be close before I moved. She never knew what happened between me and my family, but she always sensed something was off. She said, "I don't know why, but I feel like the universe is pushing me to reach out." I said yes. By mid-August, I'd moved in with her. I was working remotely, living rent-free in her gorgeous guest house, walking distance to the river, birds chirping, fresh coffee every morning. It was like I'd been dropped into someone else's life. And that's when things got weird. The first time I felt it, really felt it, was about a month after I moved in with Erin, my friend from college, the one who offered her guest house. Everything was going, well, too well. I mean, I was earning more than I'd ever made. My boss kept praising my work in company-wide emails, which never happened in my old job. I was losing weight without trying. My skin was clear. People complimented me when I went out to get coffee. Cashiers, strangers, even kids. It was like the whole world had turned its face toward me, smiling. But inside, I didn't feel lighter. I felt disoriented. I started forgetting things. Little things at first. Like where I'd put my phone or if I'd already washed my hair in the shower. Then bigger things. Like opening my emails and seeing messages I didn't remember sending, replies to conversations I had no memory of starting. At first, I thought maybe I was just overwhelmed. Adjusting to a new life. Maybe I was dissociating, something I'd done during rough patches in my past. But then something else happened. One morning, I was journaling outside. My usual manifestation script, same as always. I am living the life I deserve. I am successful, wealthy, safe, adored. Suddenly, I felt like I was being watched. You know that feeling when someone is behind you, even if you don't hear them? It was that, but intense. I turned around. No one. But in the reflection of the window behind me, I swear to God, I saw myself standing at the edge of the yard. Not like a trick of the light. Not a shadow. Me. Same face. Same clothes. But her mouth was open just a little, like she was whispering something. I blinked, turned around fully. Nothing there. When I looked back at the window, the reflection was normal. Just me, sitting at the table, shaking. I didn't tell Erin. What would I say? "Hey, I just saw my own ghost in your backyard?" She'd think I was insane. I told myself it was stress, maybe a lucid dream, a leftover trauma response. But things only escalated from there. It was around this time I noticed a strange recurring number, 1122. I'd see it everywhere, on receipts, on clocks, even in the subject line of spam emails. "Your package will arrive 11:22 a.m. Invoice number 1122. At first, I brushed it off. Then I Googled it. Because, that's what you do when numbers start stalking you. Angel number, apparently. 1122 is a master number. It signifies alignment, spiritual awakening, and the start of a new reality. Sounded exactly like what I wanted to believe. Except one night, I saw it carved into the inside of my bathroom mirror. I was brushing my teeth, zoned out, when I looked up and saw it. 1122. Barely visible, but scratched in. It wasn't there the day before. Erin hadn't used my bathroom. She never did. I asked casually if she'd noticed anything strange around the house lately. She gave me this slow look like she had but didn't want to say. "I've been having weird dreams," she finally said. "About someone walking around the house at night." I asked her who. She said, "I thought it was you at first." But the face was wrong. That night, I stayed up. At 3:12 a.m., I heard footsteps on the gravel outside. I peeked through the curtain. There was someone walking along the tree line behind the guest house. I froze. Every hair on my body stood up. They were too far to see clearly, but they weren't moving like a regular person. It was slow, almost like they were glitching forward in bursts, like frames were missing. I watched for what felt like an hour, and then I blinked, and they were gone. I stopped scripting after that. I started researching instead. I went deep into forums. Not mainstream stuff, I'm talking fringe boards, threads with 3 likes and 1 reply. People talking about manifestation reality shifting gone wrong. People who claimed they'd jumped into the wrong version of their lives. Some called it quantum misalignment. Some said they manifested their way into someone else's timeline. One user said, "If you manifest something too big, too fast, the life that comes to meet you might not be yours. It has to come from somewhere." That sentence chilled me, because it felt like my life wasn't mine, like I'd stolen it, and something or someone knew. About 2 months in, I started dreaming of her, the girl from the reflection. She wasn't just a dream. She was me, but hollow. Her eyes were too wide, too black. She'd mouth words I couldn't hear. Over and over, the same phrase. Give it back. At this point, I wasn't eating much. Sleep came in fragments, if at all. My weight dropped fast, but I didn't look sick. I looked better, prettier, sharper. People would stop me at the grocery store and ask where I got my glow. It was sickening, really. The more I unraveled, the more perfect I looked to everyone else. Like the universe was polishing me up for something. I tried to tell myself I was losing it. That all of this, the shadows, the dreams, the whispers, the girl in the window, was just my anxiety playing dress up. That this was what healing looked like. A little chaotic, a little painful. That's what TikTok says, right? Except none of this felt like healing. It felt like possession. The turning point came in mid-October. Erin went to visit her sister in Rhode Island, so I had the house to myself for a few days. That Friday night, I poured a glass of wine and sat down to finally write again. Not script, just write. A journal entry. Something normal. But when I opened my notebook, my manifestation notebook, it wasn't blank. It was full. Pages and pages, all in my handwriting. But I hadn't written them. Some pages were just my usual script, repeated dozens of times. I am living the life I deserve. I am successful, wealthy, safe, adored. But others were different. Messy, desperate. This isn't my life. She took it. Help me, I'm still in here. I want it back. 1122, 1122, 1122. I slammed the book shut and threw it in the closet. That night, the lights in the guest house flickered nonstop. My laptop turned on by itself. Twice. And around 3 a.m., I heard someone humming outside my window. A low, broken sound. I didn't look. I couldn't. I just crawled under the covers like a child and cried until morning. The next day, Erin came back early. She said she'd had a bad feeling. Her sister had a nightmare and woke up screaming. Erin asked me, "Do you know a girl named Hallie?" I froze. That was a name I hadn't heard in years. A girl I went to school with. We were close for a while until she moved away suddenly. Her family said they had to relocate for her dad's job. But Hallie had called me once, months later, crying. She said things weren't what they seemed, that she felt like she wasn't supposed to be where she was, like her life had been taken by someone else. I'd forgotten all about it. Erin said her sister kept screaming that name in the dream. I went back to the closet and opened the notebook. In one corner of a page I hadn't seen before, in tiny, jagged handwriting, it said, "You took what Hallie asked for. You weren't supposed to get it." I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. For a full hour, I just sat on the floor, shaking. Somehow, I'd taken a life meant for someone else. Or worse, manifested into a space that already belonged to another version of me. That night, I made a choice. I lit the same candle I'd used the first time. I opened a blank journal, and I started writing. Not a desire this time. Not a dream. A confession. I didn't mean to take what wasn't mine. I didn't know. I release it. I return it. I surrender. Please, let me go back. I wrote that sentence 112 times. At 3:11 a.m., I heard the humming again. This time it was closer, inside the guest house. I turned, and there she was. The girl from the dreams, the reflection, the one who looked like me, almost. But her face was wrong. Her mouth didn't move in sync. Her eyes were too big. Her shadow didn't line up with her feet. She stepped toward me. I held out the journal. I'm giving it back. She opened her mouth, and in my voice, she said, "It's not yours to give. They say that when you truly begin to question your own reality, really question it doesn't crack open all at once. It splinters. Tiny fractures that look like déjà vu at first. Missing items, shifting conversations, people remembering things you don't. But when those fractures finally give way, when the break comes, it's sudden, it's devastating, and it's irreversible." The night the reflection girl, let's just call her the other me, spoke in my voice, I shut down. I don't remember falling asleep. I don't even remember moving. 1 second she was standing in front of me, her mouth contorting in unnatural ways, and the next I was waking up on the floor at noon. My journal open beside me like I had collapsed mid-prayer. The pages were soaked through, with tears or blood. I didn't check. I just closed it and shoved it under my bed. I haven't looked at it since. I tried to act normal the next few days, went on walks, ate when Aaron reminded me to. Did my remote work as best I could, though my emails were full of phrases I didn't remember typing, things I wouldn't say. One line in particular stood out. "I feel so much better in this skin." It was in a message to my supervisor. I never wrote that. I know I didn't. I decided I needed to get out of the house for real. So I made up an excuse about needing some nature time and booked an overnight cabin 2 hours north. No Wi-Fi, no electricity, just trees, cold air, and maybe a chance to clear my head. The first night at the cabin, things were okay. It was freezing, but I felt grounded. Like the grip of whatever this thing was had loosened. I burned the last of my manifestation journal in the fire pit. I watched it curl and blacken and dissolve, and for the first time in weeks, I laughed. It was short and kind of deranged, but it was mine. Then I fell asleep. I woke up at 3:11 a.m., because of course I did. The cabin was dark, but I could feel the presence before I saw anything. It wasn't inside. It was just outside the window. I didn't move. I didn't scream. I didn't even cry. I just watched. And in the pale light of the moon, standing motionless in the snow, was me, again. Only this time, she looked older. Not in age, in wear, like she'd been through war. Hair messy, eyes sunken, skin pale and sickly, veins pulsing just under the surface like something was moving through her. Her mouth hung open, like always. But this time, she wasn't mouthing anything. She was holding up a hand, and written across her palm in my handwriting were the words, "Ask Hallie." I left the cabin before dawn. When I got back to Aaron's house, I looked up everything I could about Hallie. Old friends, mutual classmates, even her old MySpace page that somehow still existed. I found something that made my stomach turn. A Reddit post. Archived. 6 years old. One comment. No replies. Posted by someone under the username at Halliewish1122. The title? Has anyone ever accidentally manifested the wrong life? And the post read, I've been practicing scripting since 2017. I did everything they said. I was desperate to leave. I asked the universe to make me rich, successful, loved. But it feels like someone else got it. And now I'm stuck in this shell. My friends don't recognize me. My parents don't call me by my name. I have memories of things that never happened. I think someone is living my life. Or worse, someone else became me. Please, if you took my place, give it back. I don't belong here. You don't either. 1,122. The account had been deleted hours after it was posted. I know how insane this sounds, but I don't think I just jumped into someone else's life. I think I pushed someone out. After I read Hallie's Reddit post, I couldn't move for a full 10 minutes. Not because it was shocking. At this point, I think I expected it. But because she sounded exactly like me. The desperation, the confusion, the fear that no one around you is real or worse. They're real, but you're not. She described it all like someone who'd lived in my head. I screenshotted the post, even though it was years old. I needed proof. Something to remind me I wasn't hallucinating, that this wasn't just some weird spiral I'd invented to avoid being accountable for how unhappy I'd been. But the post didn't stay saved. When I opened my gallery the next day, the screenshot was gone. All my photos had changed. Where there used to be selfies, there were pictures of her. Same face, but different. Eyes duller, body thinner. Poses I never made. Places I've never been. Worse? There was one picture of me and Aaron, except I wasn't smiling. I was crying. And Aaron's hand was over my mouth. It wasn't blurry. It wasn't edited. It looked completely, horrifyingly real. I confronted her. And that's when I knew something was wrong with Aaron. I came into the kitchen, phone in hand, heart pounding. I held it up. What the hell is this? Aaron didn't even blink. She looked at the photo, then back at me. That's from the beach last summer. You were being dramatic because your ex liked someone else's post. I've never had an ex. I told her that. She frowned. What are you talking about? You cried over Ben for weeks, don't you remember? There is no Ben. But when I checked my texts, he was there. A full thread, hundreds of messages, breakup drama, apologies, voicemails I didn't remember recording. Either my memory was broken, or someone had inserted a version of a life I never lived directly into my reality. I left the house that night. Didn't even pack. Just took my phone, charger, wallet, and ran. I went to a 24-hour diner across town and sat in the back booth, nursing black coffee and whispering to myself like a lunatic. A waitress named Talia came by and asked if I was okay. Something about her felt familiar, like I'd seen her before in a dream. I told her the truth, or part of it. I think I switched lives with someone, by accident, and now everything's wrong. Talia didn't laugh. She didn't call the manager or ask me to leave. She just pulled up a chair and sat down. Then she asked very quietly, "Did you script it?" I stopped breathing. What? The life? The jump? Did you use scripting? I nodded. She looked around to make sure no one was listening, then said, "You're not the first one." There's a whole group online. People who jumped timelines, manifested wrong, or took someone else's spot by mistake. My skin went cold. Do they get back? She didn't answer at first. Then, sometimes, if they haven't anchored yet. Anchored? Once you replace enough memories, once the people around you start calling you by a different name, once your body starts changing, you're stuck. I wanted to throw up. I told her about Hallie, about the Reddit post, about the girl who looked like me but wasn't me. Talia's face went pale. "That's not her," she whispered. "What do you mean?" "If she's still here, she's not Hallie anymore. She's what's left. The universe doesn't make clean swaps. It shreds. If you took her timeline, what's left of her might still be wandering." Wandering where? Between places. Between people. Looking for a host. My coffee spilled as my hand began to shake. I think she's already found one. Talia's eyes narrowed. Who? My roommate? Aaron wasn't Aaron anymore. I know how crazy that sounds, but it's true. When I returned to the house the next morning, against every instinct I had, I found her in the living room watching old home movies on her phone. Except they weren't our home movies. They were of me, alone. Sitting in rooms I didn't recognize. crying, talking to someone off screen who never replied. She looked up when I walked in and smiled in that wrong, too wide way. "You're back. I missed you." I stood there, frozen, and asked, "What's my name?" She blinked, then smiled wider. "Why would you ask that, silly?" But she never said it. I'm not sure what to do anymore. My memories are starting to fade, like static creeping into a TV screen. I keep forgetting my childhood friend's name. I mix up the layout of my mom's house. Sometimes I look in the mirror and don't recognize my own expression. Erin follows me from room to room now. She never blinks long enough. She never sleeps. And at night, I swear I can hear someone crying through the walls. I didn't sleep for 2 days after the diner. Talia gave me a list of usernames. Former manifestors. People who tried to rewrite their lives and got stuck between timelines. Most of the accounts were deleted. One wasn't. It was a girl named Raina, living in some nowhere town in Oregon. Her posts were disjointed, more like diary entries than confessions. She talked about mirror people, time echoes, and living ghosts. In one post, she said, "The person I replaced visits me every night. She doesn't want her life back, just her name. I told her I forgot it. She screamed for 7 hours. I read that line until I couldn't breathe. Erin, whatever had become of her, stopped pretending after that. She no longer tried to make small talk. No more weird half smiles, just watching. Every room, every step. The night I finally confronted her, I locked the door to my room and slid a note under hers. Tell me what you want. If it's mine, take it. If it's not, leave." No response. Until 3:11 a.m., of course. I woke to find Erin standing at the foot of my bed, pale as wax, eyes like cracked porcelain. She opened her mouth. But it wasn't her voice. It was mine. Exactly mine. "You asked for this." I didn't know what it meant. Neither did I. She sat on the edge of the bed, gently, like we were old friends. I didn't move. "I wanted to be seen," she whispered. "I wanted to be someone." "Who were you before?" She blinked. Her mouth trembled. Then, "I was the girl who opened the door for you." I stared at her, my blood running ice cold. "Hallie?" She smiled. Number Hallie never got in. She held the door. I stepped through. I whispered, "So where is she now?" The silence after that was not empty. It was full. The next day, Erin, or what used to be Erin, was gone. Just gone. No clothes, no phone, no digital trace. The house was cold and too quiet, but something in the walls buzzed, like the electricity couldn't forget she'd been there. I went into her room and found one thing left behind. My old manifestation journal. Unburnt. Restored. But the pages were not in my handwriting anymore. And every single one, hundreds of entries, was just a variation of the same sentence. Let me be real. Let me be real. Let me be real. Let me... The last page? You can keep the face. Just give me back the name. It's been a month now. Things are better. No more mirror girls. No more crying through the walls. But sometimes, when I say my name out loud, it doesn't sound right. And when I dream, I see a girl standing outside the house holding something in her hands, like a slip of paper. I never see her face. But I think I know what she's holding. It's a name. And I don't know if it's mine. The end. Or whatever this is.